You know that feeling when you turn on the radio, or maybe you just check the global top 50 on Spotify, and you get this weird, unshakable sense of deja vu.
Like you're trapped in a time loop or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like you hear a song and think, wait, didn't this come out like 3 years ago? Or you see an artist release a quote-unquote new album, but it sounds exactly like the last 5 albums they put out.
Right.
It just feels like the charts are completely frozen in amber.
Well, it's not just you. I mean, it's a genuine phenomenon. We are actually living through a very strange moment in music history right now.
It feels paradoxical, doesn't it? Because on one hand, I see these headlines about how there are 100,000 new songs uploaded to streaming services every single day.
100,000 every day.
Right. So we have infinite choice. But then on the other hand, the actual culture, like the stuff we all collectively hear, feels narrower than ever.
And that is the exact core tension we're looking at today. We have infinite supply, but we're seeing a massive consolidation of attention. And we have a stack of sources today that suggest this isn't just a random accident, it's actually a feature of the system.
We really do have a heavy stack today for this deep dive. We're pulling from a massive 65-year scientific analysis of the U.S. Billboard Hot 100.
It's a huge study.
Yeah, and we've got some fascinating reporting from OX Magazine on AI prediction, plus some deep financial dives into blockchain royalties from Zonix and Protocol.
And we can't forget the Reddit thread.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Maybe my favorite part of the stack. A very heated debate from the Let's Talk Music subreddit on why the music revolution is officially dead.
It's a grim title, I know, but it's a really necessary conversation to have.
Totally. So, our mission today is to uncover the invisible machinery behind what we're hearing. We aren't just talking about catchy melodies here. We are talking about concepts like infinite scalability, the 5-second skip rule, and, why Drake seems to have permanent tenure on the Billboard chart.
And ultimately, we really need to answer a pretty big question. Is technology actually liberating artists the way we were promised? Or is it trapping us listeners in a feedback loop we can't escape?
Let's start with the hard data, because you brought in this study by Leach and Lehman, and it basically validates every grumpy thought I've had about the radio for the last decade.
It definitely validates your feelings. I mean, this study is incredibly comprehensive. They analyzed Billboard data all the way back from 1958 to the present day.
Wow. 1958.
Right. And what they found are two completely contradictory trends happening at the exact same time on the chart.
Okay, let's unpack this. What's happening at the top?
So at the very top, the number one hits, the stickiness of those songs has tripled.
Tripled.
Yes. If you go back to the 1960s or 70s, a song would hit number one, have its cultural moment, and then it would fade away to make room for the next big thing. It was a natural cycle.
Right. The churn was real. People got bored and moved on.
Exactly. But today, a top one song stays there 3 times longer than it used to. Once a song reaches the summit now, it basically squats. It refuses to leave.
So the hits are harder to kill. But the study mentioned something really chaotic happening at the bottom of the chart.
Yeah, that's the other side of the coin. Down at the bottom of the Hot 100, so positions 80 to 100, the churn is faster than ever.
Oh, really?
Songs enter and die almost instantly down there. It's a revolving door that's just spinning completely out of control.
So it's basically a winner-take-all environment.
Precisely. Ideally, a chart should be a ladder. You start at the bottom, you climb to the middle, maybe you hit the top, but now it's a fortress.
A fortress. I like that analogy.
If you're inside the castle walls, you stay there forever. If you're outside, you get maybe 5 minutes to try and break down the door before you're replaced by the next person. The gap between the best and the rest has widened into a massive canyon.
That sounds incredibly brutal for new artists. It's like, unless you're already massive, you're just chart fodder.
The data completely backs that up too.
Right.
Back in the 2000s, hitmakers, meaning established stars who already had a track record, made up about 40% of the chart spots.
Okay, and now?
Now they occupy 60%. Fewer and fewer new artists are actually managing to break through that ceiling.
When you say established stars, we really have to talk about Drake. We have this source from Beatty that breaks down his chart run, and it is honestly absurd.
Drake is the absolute perfect case study for this era. Since 2009, with his So Far Gone mixtape, he has effectively been a permanent fixture. He isn't just visiting the charts, he lives there.
Right.
By 2021, Beatty noted he had 15 wins from 65 nominations.
But the source mentioned something really interesting about how he does it. It's not just that people like his music, it's a deliberate strategy.
Exactly.
For example, he didn't even release a studio album in 2020, but he was still the most nominated artist that year. How does that even work?
Features and consistency. Drake dominates because of volume and versatility. He sings, he raps, and crucially, he collaborates constantly.
Right, he's everywhere.
This is the strategy shift we are seeing across the entire industry. In the 90s, collaborations made up about 10% of the chart.
And now?
By 2022, it was nearly 50%.
Whoa, so half the chart is just artists teaming up.
It's risk mitigation. Think about it. If you are a new artist, your best bet isn't to write a revolutionary solo song in your bedroom. It's to get a feature with someone who is already inside the fortress.
And if you're an established artist inside the fortress,
you stay relevant by hopping on the track of whoever the next big thing is. It creates a completely closed loop.
that makes total sense. It's like a VIP club where the only way in is to know someone who's already at the bar.
Exactly.
But I want to pivot to why the music itself sounds the way it does. Because we have this concept from Eric Kim's piece called infinitely scalable or nothing.
Right. This is where economics really starts to shape the actual art. In the digital economy, products, and that includes songs, have what economists call zero marginal cost.
Break that down for us.
Think about the old days of the music business. If a label wanted to sell 1 million albums, they had to physically press 1 million pieces of vinyl.
Right.
They had to print 1 million cardboard sleeves, box them up, and put them on physical trucks to drive them to stores. That costs real money per unit.
There was a physical limit to how fast you could scale.
Precisely. Today, once a song is recorded and uploaded to a server, it costs the exact same amount of money to stream it to one person as it does to stream it to 1 billion people. Zero marginal cost.
Which sounds great for distribution, right? But Kim argues this actually changes the mindset of the people paying the bills.
It creates a VC scale or bust mentality. Venture capitalists don't want a nice, steady, profitable little business. They want a unicorn. They want a 100x return on their investment.
Okay, so how does that translate to a record label?
Major labels aren't looking for a modest success or a cool niche hit anymore. If a song doesn't have the mathematical potential to go viral globally, it is often viewed as a failure.
So every single song has to be a global audience.
And that immense pressure changes how the music is actually constructed in the studio. Which brings us to the 5-second war.
This part actually made me feel a little guilty reading it. The source called the 5-second hook.
It's a fascinating, if slightly depressing read. The stats are brutal. 25% of all streams are skipped in the first 5 seconds.
A quarter of the time, we give a song 5 seconds before we bail. That attention span is basically non-existent.
It is. But here's the kicker. On platforms like Spotify, a skip is not just a neutral action. It is a heavy negative signal to the algorithm.
Wait, really?
Yes. Some estimates say a skip is weighted 3 to 5 times more heavily than a like.
So if I skip a song because I'm just not in the mood for it, I'm effectively telling the algorithm to bury that artist.
You are telling the system, this is irrelevant content. Do not show this to other people. So producers are terrified of the skip.
That would be a tip.
They are using AI tools now, platforms like Bridge.audio and Musio, to actually fingerprint tracks before they are even released to the public.
Fingerprint them how? What is the AI actually looking for?
It analyzes rhythmic density, energy levels, and vocal placement. They're looking for immediate engagement. They want to ensure the hook happens immediately.
Meaning right at second one.
Exactly. There's no slow build-up anymore. No 30-second instrumental intros setting the mood like you might see in classic rock.
That explains so much. It explains why every pop song seems to start right on the chorus now. They're terrified I'm going to get bored and swipe away.
They are engineering the song for retention metrics, not necessarily for artistic expression. The source notes that if the vocal doesn't hit in those first few seconds, the AI flags it to the label as a skip risk.
So we're literally optimizing art to be unskippable.
And it goes even deeper than that. OX Magazine discusses how AI is now being used for predictive programming.
Okay, that sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi dystopia.
It is a little bit. AI analyzes historical chart performance, lyric sentiment, and even social media reactions to predict hits before they drop.
It's trying to predict the future based on the past.
Right. But the downside, as the expert in the OX article points out, is that this creates a massive bias toward the familiar.
Because the AI is only trained on past hits.
Exactly. If you train a machine learning model on what was popular in 2024 and 2025, it will just tell you to make more music that sounds exactly like 2024 and 2025. It totally stifles innovation.
Because it can only know what it already knows.
Yes, it struggles to predict black swan events.
Like what? Give me an example of a black swan in music.
Think about Gangnam Style or Old Town Road. Or even going back further, Nirvana in the early 90s.
Right.
Those were songs that broke every existing rule of what a hit was supposed to sound like. An algorithm trained on 1989 hair metal would never in a million years have predicted Smells Like Teen Spirit. It would have flagged it as a skip list.
So by heavily using these predictive tools, we're essentially deleting the possibility of a surprise. We're optimizing everything for safe.
Which brings us to the counter-reaction. Because humans are funny. When everything becomes purely digital and completely optimized, we start craving something tangible. We have to talk about the Barbie phenomenon.
Yes, Barbie, the album. Such a huge hit. Debuted at number 2, won a Grammy for Best Compilation Soundtrack.
Massive cultural footprint.
But the source we have from YouTube is Zuza Barbie. She didn't focus on the streaming numbers at all. Her video focused entirely on the physical vinyl.
Right, the pink metallic pressing, the sky blue variant.
People weren't just streaming these albums on their phones. They were buying multiple copies of the physical vinyl just to display them on their walls.
And that is the super fandom response. In a world of digital ephemera where you technically own nothing, I mean, your Spotify library is really just these people are craving a physical totem.
It's about identity, right? I can't really show off my Spotify playlist to people who come over to my apartment, but I can proudly display a limited edition metallic vinyl.
Exactly. It shows you belong to a specific tribe. But let's connect this super fandom back to the bigger picture of culture. Because while Barbie was a massive hit, it kind of feels like an exception these days. We found a really fascinating debate on the Let's Talk Music subreddit. The main thread was asking, why hasn't there been a music revolution recently?
Yeah, the poster's question was essentially, where is the new grunge?
Yeah.
Where is the new punk rock? Where is the big cultural movement that sweeps everything else away?
It's a great question, and one theory they discussed heavily is the Clear Channel effect. This dates back to the 1996 Telecommunications Act in the U.S.
Right, that was the law that deregulated the market and let broadcast companies buy up way more radio stations than they were previously allowed to.
Precisely. It allowed conglomerates like iHeartMedia, which was formerly Clear Channel, to buy up huge swaths of local stations. And this effectively killed the independent DJ.
Because you used to have local tastemakers in different cities who would play a weird track just because they personally liked it.
Yes. And now you have a single unified playlist programmed in a corporate office that gets blasted out to hundreds of stations nationwide simultaneously. It caused massive homogenization.
It unified the sound and made it safe for advertisers.
Right. But the deeper argument from that Reddit thread, and I actually think this is the most compelling one we've looked at, is the concept of the death of monoculture.
Meaning the idea that we don't all watch the same TV shows or listen to the same radio stations anymore. We're all fragmented.
Exactly. To have a true revolution like Nirvana coming in and killing hair metal, you need a mainstream to rebel against. You need a dominant culture that everyone universally agrees is the thing, so that a new generation can come along and smash it.
Oh, that's profound. So today, because everyone lives in their own curated algorithmic bubble,
there is no single mainstream to overthrow. You might be deep into hyperpop or Afrobeats or dark wave, and to you and your online community, that scene is exploding. It feels like a massive revolution.
but your literal next-door neighbor has never heard a single note of it.
Exactly. So we have these micro-revolutions. They are intense, they are passionate, but they are completely invisible to the general public.
That makes a lot of sense. And the Reddit thread also mentioned the isolation of the modern artist as a factor.
That's the other key piece. Making music has largely become a lonely pursuit. It's bedroom producers staring at laptop screens, sending stems and vocal files back and forth over the internet.
It's not four people sweating in a garage, feeding off each other's physical energy and making mistakes together.
And that fundamentally changes the sound of the music itself. It becomes more precise, perhaps, more engineered, but arguably less alive.
That is a little depressing to think about. It explains why the human element feels missing sometimes when everything is perfectly quantized to a grid.
It does.
But speaking of files and ownership, we need to talk about the money side of this. Because if hits are harder to make, and algorithms are controlling the doors, making an actual living seems harder than ever.
The financial stats from our sources are incredibly sobering. We looked at data showing that artists only captured about 12% of $50 billion global music revenue in 2020.
12%. That is vanishingly small when they are the ones creating the product.
And the royalties. They can take up to 2 full years to actually reach the artist's bank account.
2 years? That makes no sense. I can send money to my friend in Japan on my phone in 2 seconds. Why does it take 2 years to pay an artist for a digital stream?
It comes down to intermediaries. You have the streaming platform itself, then the record label, the publisher, the performing rights organizations or PROs, the local collection societies in different countries.
Everyone wants a piece of the pie.
Everyone takes a cut, and more importantly, everyone adds an administrative delay. It's a complete black box of data. The artist rarely knows exactly what they are owed or when it will arrive.
And this is where the Zonix and protocol sources come into our stack. They are looking at blockchain as the solution to this exact bottleneck. Now, I have to admit, usually when I hear the word blockchain, my eyes glaze over. But in this specific case, it seems to solve a very real mechanical problem.
It really does. If you forget all the crypto hype for a second and just think about the underlying technology, it's about two things: tokenization and smart contracts.
Okay, how does a smart contract actually fix the 2-year wait time?
A smart contract is basically just code that executes automatically when a condition is met. So imagine if a digital song file had a permanent rule attached to it that said, every time the song generates $1 in Revro, instantly send 50 cents to the singer's wallet and 50 cents to the producer's wallet.
No middleman, no paperwork to file.
Correct. The payment route's instantly upon the stream happening. And because it's on a blockchain, it's a fully transparent, immutable ledger. You can see exactly where every fraction of a cent is going. The black box is gone.
And we've actually seen some real-world examples of this working. The protocol source mentioned DJ3LAU.
Yes, 3LAU is really the pioneer here. Back in 2021, he sold his album Ultraviolet directly to fans as NFTs.
And how much did that bring in?
$11.6 million.
Okay, that is significantly more than he would have made from fractional pennies on streaming platforms.
Millions and millions of streams wouldn't even touch that number. But the really exciting part of this technology isn't just selling an album as a digital collectible, it's the concept of fractional ownership. Look at the partnership between the rapper Nas and the platform Royal.
Right, this is the idea that I can buy a share of a song's actual royalty stream, kind of like buying stock in a tech company.
Exactly. If you buy a token for a specific Nas song, and that song continues to get streams on Spotify or Apple Music, you get paid a dividend from those streams.
So it completely aligns the incentives between the artist and the audience. If I literally own a piece of the song, I'm going to tell everyone I know to listen to it. I basically become part of the street team.
You move from being just a passive fan to being an active investor in the artist's success.
That sounds like the revolution we've been waiting for. Total transparency, instant pay, direct connection. What's the downside? Because in tech, there's always a downside.
We definitely have to be realistic about the risks. This model turns music into a speculative asset. If you think the traditional stock market is volatile, imagine the market for a pop song.
Oh, true. Taste change so fast.
Right. What happens if a superfan invests their life savings into an upcoming artist's song and the song completely flops?
Or what happens if a massive artist gets canceled? The value of their stock would go to zero overnight.
Exactly. The financial risk shifts directly onto the fan. Plus, the regulatory landscape is an absolute minefield right now. The SEC and other global bodies are still trying to figure out if these music tokens should be classified as securities. It is very much the Wild West.
So let's try to pull all of this together. We've got AI tools, fingerprinting music to make it safe and unskippable just to satisfy the streaming algorithm. We've got hitmakers squatting on the top of the charts for decades because of risk-averse labels demanding global virality.
Don't forget the death of the monoculture preventing any big new wave from taking root.
Right, and then the proposed financial fix for the artists is treating songs like volatile tech stocks.
That is the synthesis of our deep dive today. We are in an era of intense paradoxes. Technologically, we have infinite scale. Literally anyone can reach everyone. But culturally, we have deep stagnation.
And financially, we are moving toward direct fan ownership. But the sheer competition to get noticed is higher than ever with those 100,000 songs dropping daily. It feels like we're optimizing the fun out of the art form. Like we're engineering the perfect, profitable, unskippable product, but we might be losing the soul in the process.
And that raises the most important question for our listeners, I think. If AI is endlessly optimizing music based on past data to be completely unskippable, and algorithms only feed us what we already know we like, are we deleting the possibility of a happy accident?
Oh, that's a scary thought, the happy accident.
Think about the music you love most in your life. Was it always love at first sight? Or was there an album that initially confused you? Something that sounded jarring or weird or too aggressive the first time you put it on?
Oh, definitely. Some of my absolute favorite albums took me 3 or 4 listens to actually get. I had to let them grow on me.
Exactly. But in the 5-second war we talked about, that song gets skipped immediately. And because you skipped it, the algorithm permanently learns from that and never shows you anything remotely like it again.
It protects me from it.
Right. Are we engineering a world where you never hear a song you hate because the system knows you'll skip it, but because of that, you never hear the song that challenges you enough to start a revolution?
We're insulating ourselves from the noise, but the noise is exactly where the new, exciting stuff comes from. We're essentially building a padded room for our ears.
Precisely. And padded rooms are very safe, but they aren't very interesting to live in.
Well, on that slightly terrifying note, thank you for taking this deep dive with us today. To the learner listening right now, here is my challenge to you. Maybe go listen to something the algorithm didn't suggest to you today. Go out of your way to find something weird.
Indeed. Break the loop.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.